G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here. Now with Microsoft Teams shared channels reaching general availability, I've noticed a lot of questions coming up online just about how to use them and why they're not using and why names aren't resolving when we're trying to add external members to these shared channels. And there is some configuration that does need to happen in Azure AD before we can actually start collaborating with external organizations. So I just wanted to record this, put this out there just so that there is an understanding of what needs to go into getting shared channels up and running. Now, inside of the Modern Work collective community, I am running a group coaching session around Microsoft Teams shared channels next week at the time of this recording. So if you do want to find out all about how to use Microsoft Teams shared channels, how to set them up, how to configure them, then jump over into the Modern Work collective community and have a look at the events channel, and you can register for that event in there as well. I'll put the link, it'll appear down the bottom here, and then jump in and you can join that session next week as well. So let's just have a quick look at what needs to be done from the Azure ADN. So you can see here I am in Microsoft Teams. I've already created a little shared channel here. Now, when we go to share a channel with an external person, then what you might find is that when you start typing in an email address, is that name doesn't resolve in that it can't find any matches. So let me just show you what that looks like. So if I pop in an email address like so, what we might see is that this situation here where it says we didn't find any matches. But then when you put in a different email address, which is what we want to look for, is we need to get something like this where it resolves that person's name. Now, a lot of times this is because the Azure AD components and the setup of the B2B Connect part isn't configured. Okay, so let's jump in and have a look at where that is. So there's two things that need to be configured in the Azure AD tenant. One that's inbound and one that's outbound. So under external identities inside of Azure, we've got this cross-tenant access settings. Now inside here, now this is blocked by default. So we can see here that we've got inbound and outbound settings here. Now, when we want to allow people to come into our organization, so if I edit this inbound settings here, we can see that under the B2B Direct Connect tab here, B2B Direct Connect inbound access settings determine whether users from external Azure AD orgs can access the resources inside this tenant without being added to the tenant as guests. So this is when we want to allow other people to come in. So you can see here that here it is these settings here, the external users and groups. We've got allow access and we've got all external users and groups. We then flick over to the applications tab and we've got the access status of allow access and all applications. Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, if we jump back into the cross-tenant settings and we have a look at the outbound access settings, so here on the B2B Connect Direct Connect tab, outbound access settings determine how your users and groups can interact with apps and resources in external organizations. Okay, by default, settings apply to all your cross-tenant scenarios unless you configure organizational settings to override them from specific organizations. Okay, so here we can see that users and groups are in this tenant. The access status is to allow access and it's to all users in this tenant. Okay, so the external applications, again, we're set at allow access and all external applications there. So if you're finding or you're trying to use shared channels in Microsoft Teams and you're having those sort of access issues and you can't add people in and that type of thing, or you can't get added in, then these two settings in Azure AD do need to be configured so that you can collaborate with external parties and also for other external organizations to be able to collaborate with you in those shared channels. So I just wanted to share that with you. So if you are having issues or access issues with shared channels, that is a good place to start to see if these are configured. So thanks for watching. And just a reminder that we do have the group coaching session on next week. Head to the Modern Work Collective community in the events channel there, and you'll see the event that you can subscribe to there. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.